Hi, welcome to my messy fingers. I'm Charlie. I am going to do a walkthrough today featuring the Sir Vagabond in Fantasy World collection. The paper collection was sent to me by Scrap and Create, an online craft store. They would love for you to swing by and buy the collection from them. And if you do, they'll send you, while their supplies last, a baggie full of goodies, little brass trinkets, and I used several of them here for the front. But let's get to the main part of the album first. This album measures 9 across by 10, and I do have a 2.5-inch spine. The paper is so beautiful, but it does have tones that I felt would blend, kind of meld into the black cardstock. So I used a teal sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock to mat behind it so that it allowed the paper itself to kind of pop up, and the teal helped pull out some of the other colors. Now it's called Calypso Blue. I did get it from Joann's. I don't know if they have it. But you could check in with their inventory and see what they have. But if they don't, any dark teal colored cardstock I think would do great for pulling the colors out. Now you're certainly most welcome to use whatever color you see that you feel would make it pop. I also want to let you know that you can make this in an 8x8 album using the 8x8 collections. You will just need to simply take into account and change the measurements as we walk through the album. Now, like I told you, I already used some of the filigrees, the brass gears that came in with it. These are chipboard pieces. This is from the ephemera pack, and this is from the chipboard piece, and this piece here comes off the quotes and sayings sheet. With regard to the griffin, I did carefully cut him out, and then I mounted him on a real thin piece of chipboard / cardstock. I get them in my packing when I order my cardstock. It's just real thin, so even a cereal box would work. It gives some strength to the feathers, and then I mounted pieces of heavier chipboard so that I could pull him up off the page. There is a full sheet of circled patterns, and I chose one that would add some color and some movement to the front of this. And then when I cut this piece that I cut off, I used as the piece for my spine. And then we have another 12 by 12 piece that I used on the back. I wanted to pull in the gears that are off the front of this so that there was a little bit of continuance that's going through this. So getting to the inside, this does have 8 signatures. It's a big album. I like making big albums. So we're going to start off with the left side panel. And on here we have the ephemera. I've got several pieces here of the chipboard. Here's another chipboard piece. This is off the quotes and sayings. And here's another one of those big circles. This is called the magic mirror. So I measured and cut it in half so that this could set in the center of it. Now each of the signatures are measuring 9 3/4 tall by approximately, well, let's get a measurement, about 9 across on the inside panel and the back panel. But on the other panels, they're measuring at about 8 5/8 to 8 3/4. So let's get in here. This is a snap enclosure, so this opens up. We have a couple of pockets here. And then using some of the extra cardstock, because as you're cutting and you're slicing certain measurements, you have pieces of cardstock that's left over. So I like to try and incorporate them in the album for additional photo opportunities. These are the ephemera pieces that came out of the ephemera packet. And then here we have a couple of the chipboard pieces that I used. If you're ordering the, whether it be 12 by 12 or 8 by 8, if you're ordering 2 of the core patterns and 2 of the backgrounds, in the core patterns you're going to have 2 sheets of these cutout cards, and I used one of the sheets for a photo mat. Okay, moving on to this page, we'll start off with, we've got a rather large pull-out card, and here's one of the cute little trinkets that I used. It's a train that I used for the pull-out, and indication that there's a card in there. These 2 pieces here are the same 12 by 12 sheet. I simply cut down this column so that it would leave this arch and Sir Vagabond alone. I then went in and I actually cut him out using the same process, mounted him on some extra cardstock I had left over so that he kind of comes up off that page a little bit. This is using one of the quotes out of the chipboard packet that I got, and then here's some ephemera. Opening this up to the inside, these 2 pieces here are off of one piece. It's a 12 by 12. I cut to fit in both of these, and then using another 12 by 12, I created another flap. Here are some of the other circles that I cut out and mounted on black cardstock. And then using some of the chipboard pieces, it was difficult to figure out where to place these because I feel like they should have something on top of them, but I used them here on the inside of this. There are some tags, and then this is one 12 by 12 piece that I cut to fit. Here's another one of the cards cut out, and here's a tag with an ephemera piece on the front of it. Okay. Oh, and I used some of the ephemera accent corners here on this one. They have a little gold hue to them. I think if I move it in the photo, you can see that. Move it in the video, you can see it. I haven't had enough coffee yet this morning. And then here we have Lady Vagabond, and I did the same thing with her. I cut her out, mounted her, and raised her up off the page. And this piece and this piece are all one. It's one 12 by 12, just cut so that each would display its own beauty and the pattern within. And then on the inside, this is also one off of one sheet of 12 by 12. And then I made a pocket with the scraps using some of the ephemera flowers inside the ephemera packet that I got. Here's another one, gorgeous floral. And then here's another tag. And then this is cut from a 12 by 12 sheet of black cardstock. This is one sheet of 12 by 12, cut to fit. And the same with this. And then here are a couple of more of those round tags. We have a big, large pocket here. Here I don't know if you can see it very well. Let me try and see if I can't lift this so you can see it better. Maybe I'll bring it up closer. In a lot of the scraps, there are what I call silent images that if you really look at it, you'll see something that they've included that you didn't expect. Well, on this one, there was a figurehead that was just, to me, very subtle but very beautiful. So I actually framed it in on this large pocket piece. And down here we have some more of the chipboard pieces. And here is the train. I love this image. I wanted to try and cut this out, but I just thought that was just going to be asking too much. So I chose just to leave it as it is. But what I did do is this piece and this piece are off one 12 by 12 sheet. And it was the inside of this that I chose to actually cut out and pop it up so that it had some depth to the page. And then we have, I made two, if I can get them out of here, two pullouts. They're smaller in size, but they were leftover black cardstock. And I used two more of the trinkets. One looks like Lady Liberty or the Statue of Liberty, I apologize. And then the sun. And then in here, I used one of the round ovals with the griffin to accent this pocket. And here we have one of the single cards left over from the second page sheet that I had. And then I cut these out and mounted them and then covered the backs. Here are two of the cards, but I reversed their images when I put them in here. These pieces I pulled out of my scraps. And then here's another one of those round elements. Okay. And then over here, I didn't do anything with this piece of paper. It's all 112 by 12, but what I did do was cut up this side because I wanted to save as much of this image as I could. I just find it very intriguing. To me, it's very beautiful. And I love this, but fussy cutting this out was going to be asking way too much. So I just left these two as they are. This is from the Quotes and Sayings, mounted on black cardstock. And then we have another pocket pull-out, and again, it's another large one. So these will fit 4x6s and 5x7s very easy on both sides. Let me get this back in here. Okay. And then this is one sheet that I cut for this page first and then use the extra to come over here and cut on this side. And then here's the other large card cutout that I made into a card. And then we have two pockets, this one here and this one here. I used one of the tags for over here for a tuck. This is out of the chipboard pieces. I thought it was an appropriate place because I chose to use this piece for the bottom of the big pocket. This big piece is from the chipboard collection as well, and then I backed it with some of the I cut out some flowers off one of the strips of leftovers and then came in behind it to accent it so it would kind of pull it up off the page a little bit so it didn't blend into this. Over here, I took and cut this out very carefully and then again mounted it on some extra cards chipboard that I have. I apologize. And then I cut out this from your sayings and quotes, and then I mounted one of the gears from the ephemera pack so it had, because there's a gear here, so I mounted this here so it had a little bit of a glitter. This page is a flip up, and if you make the album, you can choose to put a pocket in here. Just cut to fit, use any of your scraps. I left it because I was envisioning someone putting a 5x7 or a 4x6 here and then leaving the gargoyle untouched. And then this is a little pull down. And then we have two pages here. And a lot of this is coming from my scraps because when you're cutting some of these larger pieces, you have scraps left over. So I'm trying to utilize them as I go throughout the album. This was a scrap piece. I thought about fussy cutting him, but I just thought, nah, I'm not going to do it. Here's another one of the cards. And then here, you've got two sheets of cutouts. So I cut out Sir Vagabond and Lady Vagabond, and I mounted them each on cardstock, but I didn't do any further layering with them. I took her to the left side because I kind of wanted her to look over her, it appeared that she was looking over her shoulder at him and that he was being nonchalant. And then I cut this piece out of your quotes and sayings, mounted it, and then used magnet to close. And then this is off of one 12 by 12 sheet. I did cut to fit these. And then we have each one of these is an extra in my scrap. And then this sheet here is one 12 by 12 sheet. And then these are from my scraps, and then these are off of the quotes and sayings. These two pieces here are off of one 12 by 12. And then this is one sheet of 12 by 12 that I cut to fit. And then this piece came from my scraps. And then I used one of the chipboard floral elements to put on it. And then out of the ephemera pack, I took our two main animal characters. They're glittered in gold, as you can see, and put them here on these pockets. And then the last signature is very easy to make. It is a waterfall. I did make a big pocket down here, and I took one of the last cards. I'm using it in the pocket to hold these down rather than making flips. So each one of these measures 3.5 by 5, but the 5 really is at 5.5 because I'm using a 1/2 inch for scoring, taping, and tucking in behind for the layering. I took from my scraps pieces that I liked and covered the bottom half of each one of the pages. And then on the inside, I cut as well a complete pattern on both sides so that would help break up the intense black that you see here until your photos get mounted. And then underneath, you have plenty of room to put a 4 by 6 or a 5 by 7 photo down here. And then kind of what cleanup that I did was when you're making these albums, you always have this big gusset that you've created over here. So I cut strips of paper to fill in to kind of absorb some of the intensity of all that black in between the pages. And there you have it. Sir Vagabond in Fantasy World by My Messy Fingers for Scrap and Create. Enjoy, and thanks for stopping by.